Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, December 14th. Starting a little late because I got caught up recording some more Borderlands 2, which is kind of a good thing. Let's re-roll this one. 30 turns and 25 spells, not difficult at all. And in a funny way, I guess we could take a moment to see if we could do this solo adventure. Yesterday the Rostacon's Rumble solo adventure came out. It's not anything super special. It's like a monster run, except for it's very focused on shrines, and that's kind of it. You can probably get to level 4, 5, 6, even 7 pretty easily, but then 8 is gonna probably give you some trouble. Here's a good one. Like whenever you take damage on your turn, the opponent takes it instead. Or you could play this where you have spell damage +1 for each spell in your hand, or you summon the minion and give it +1/+1. So you start with like this, and you pick your shrine, and then you're given. So I'll be playing as a Warlock hero class. We'll be fighting the other 8 hero classes, kind of in random order. And if you beat all 8 characters, I think you get a card back, and that's kind of it. I played one game, lost at the 4th turn yesterday, then I played a second game, and was potentially going to win, but the game glitched out in just a completely unfair way, and the hero face disappeared, so I could not win at all. I'll be putting up a clip of that as a glitch, but after that I tried to play off screen and spent too much time on it, frankly, instead of just recording Borderlands 2, which eventually I just got to playing Borderlands 2, but then I went too late in the evening, so now I've kind of overslept this morning. Not too bad, but a little. And then I was playing Borderlands 2 earlier today. The good news, I suppose, is that we're done with the Tiny Tina's Adventure element. I did all that DLC. Really long DLC. Has some boring stuff on it. In the middle, where it gets, or the later half, it gets a little repetitive. Let's see. Deal 4 damage to a minion and a hero. I want to do this. This. So that was supposed to do 4 damage to me, but it did 4 damage to them instead. There was a couple more end-level quests that I just didn't want to bother with, and so I didn't do them. For the Tiny Tina's Bunkers and Badass DLC, whatever it's really called. The Tiny Tina's DLC is centered around the sadness of the fact that Roland is dead, and it just kind of constantly gets back to that over and over again. So throughout the entirety of the experience, you're just not having the experience that I would like to have, because I really just want a fun, jaunty first-person shooter loot game. I don't want Roland to be dead as a character per se, or I mean, I don't care if he's not in the story, but I definitely do care if you summon minion, do 5 damage to your hero. Can I summon a minion? No, but I can do this, but then I can't do this. See, this guy's gonna die here in a second, so what I need to do is something like this, this, and this. And now the challenge, we'll have to see if that counted towards any of the daily quest challenges before we go any further. Otherwise I'm going to just ignore this. I tried to play it off screen. I got bored and walked away, and because it logged me out, I lost automatically on that quest. Alright, so casting spells and taking 30 turns do not count in solo adventure mode. I wish they would mention that somehow if I hovered over it or something. So I just need to play. Over here in the chat, they've changed how all of that works too. So now you get this warning about protecting your privacy, which, fair enough. Guess we'll stay with Zoo Warlock, or is there something else I should be playing? I'll just try Zoo Warlock first. So after doing the Tiny Tina's DLC, which should have been the last DLC that I did, but it turns out that there's actually 2 bits of DLC I missed. One was Torg's, Mr. Torque's DLC, which was really short because I was level 42 and it was limited to level 21. It would have been pretty short anyways. It was just like a Thanksgiving related DLC, oddly. So yeah, there was, I did that in pretty much, I think, 45 minutes, because I spent 15 minutes opening 10 like golden key loot boxes and sorting loot, and then I jumped in the DLC and then I just ran through it. There was a side quest that had you listening to Mr. Torg's grandmother, and there was 2 of those, and so I was doing that off screen because it was just annoying, and I don't think anybody's really going to be upset with the idea of me doing that part off screen. But there's still Campaign of Carnage as the last bit of DLC, but then I'll be done with Borderlands 2. I'm trying to think about what I want to do to replace Borderlands 2, frankly. But I don't really know. Like, I definitely don't want to do another first-person shooter. I keep thinking I want to do Zombie, ZOMBI, but I don't know if I'm ever actually going to get around to it. Well, if the daily quests for the other accounts are as easy as these daily quests are going to be, I guess I need to go through the news today pretty quickly. Too. I definitely don't want this streaming to go long today. I'm actually going to take tomorrow off, so I won't probably be doing any recording tomorrow, and I'll be getting up early to do something not YouTube related, and thus I'm probably going to try and just go to sleep early tonight after streaming. Although I could also probably power through the last bit of Borderlands 2. Scheduling wise, the only other thing that I need to think about is like game of the year, end of the year recaps. I was thinking of maybe doing a end of the year recap called YouTube Rewind, just as a clickbait kind of title. But YouTube Rewind 2018 is now the most hated video ever, most disliked video ever. Like, I don't even feel like personally, as a content creator, I don't feel like this is as much a hate for the rewind video itself as it is a hate for the policies and actions that Susan Wojcicki and YouTube have just taken upon themselves and what they've been doing to YouTube over the course of 2018. And I think content creators have successfully, at least in part, pushed even people who just watch the videos to say, hey, yeah, YouTube kind of sucks now. They're treating their content creators bad. They're doing a whole list of rude things. But I also don't want to get into a rant about YouTube, so let's talk about video game news. GameIndustry.biz has an article, "The UK industry stares down a Brexit disaster. 2018 in review, there's no silver linings to Brexit in the UK industry as uncertainty and the threat of a no deal create difficult business climate." So, I mean, I don't think that's unique specifically to the UK video game industry. It's just all UK industry. But I could certainly see down the road, 10, 20 years from now, people thinking that Brexit is actually a really good idea, was a really good idea. Inherently, I imagine the United States was in a lot of uncertainty when it declared independence from Britain. Let's see. Let's keep doing this. Wind Fury. That's what we want. +3 attack. Well, +3 health will work too. There we go. I should have put it next to this guy, come to think of it. So I should kill this guy if he plays anything that I can kill.
Well played.
Let's see, the UK industry also has another issue. Let's see. Poisonous. +3 attack. Go and draw a card while we're at it. Personally, though, as somebody from the United States, I feel like the United States really dropped the ball for an opportunity there to say, hey, let's do a better deal with the UK. Let's strengthen our trading partnerships and thus capitalize on this and make a good deal for both. Like, from an outsider, from an armchair economist, that sounds like that would have been the perfect opportunity to do something like that. Of course, inherently, also, when countries are in very bad economic situations, that leads to potentially very aggressive actions by those countries. That's why, you know, Germany turned to Nazism is because of a very poor economy. moving on though, we have a game on Steam called Worlds Collide. Looks like it's a top-down strategy game. It looks a little polished, I'll give it that. Better than the normal garbage. But it definitely doesn't look like the kind of game for me. It's early access, and it's $9.34 discounted right now. If we were to look at this developer, they haven't developed anything else. So yeah, I'm not gonna make the choice there of putting that on the fall list. I don't think there's too many games out. Honestly, I don't think too many games came out over the past couple days. Which isn't super surprising. Like, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year. It seems really ridiculous that anybody would try to put a game out on Steam. Like, the only reason, if I was making a video game, I would put it out in the last half of December, is because I had some contractual obligation or desire, some kind of ridiculous desire to have a game labeled as coming out a certain year. Nice to meet you. And then in return, otherwise I would just wait. Like, release my game in January. January 15th would be like the earliest I'd want to release a game. Let the New Year's happen, unless it was some kind of weird theme game. What do we want to do here? Just play. I think that works fine. So we have a game on Steam called Slave Sword, which is tagged sexual content and nudity. But let me just go through all the screenshots. Yeah, actually, there's not showing anything. So you have like a pretty tame skirt and a pretty tame bustier. It's an RPG Maker game, so it's still not making it to the follow list. It's $12.74. It's a Japanese full audio game, so interesting. Like, I don't know why it's tagged that way, but we are getting another game on Steam that kind of has the anime girl style, but I guess in this instance it's a fantasy game, so it's not any schoolgirls in high school / college / whatever outfits. So as we're trying to understand what the person's problem is, whether it's legitimate or not, it might boil down to they are specifically stopping any game that has any let's see, I want +3 attack actually. Do I need to do 4 damage? I don't think so. I think I can end the turn here. Let's see. So the weird thing about Slave Sword is that it very possibly could be full of some really mature content. But they're describing it as it just has strong language and partial nudity. So I would guess that's a boob or a butt. And that's it.
Your magic shall not sink.
What do we want to do? Hit this guy, and then hit this guy. Lose the coin, which I'm fine with that. Wind Fury. And +1/+1. Let's see. Stealth until next turn. +3 attack.
Job's done.
Yeah, a lot of the fantasy games though do tend to have some pretty extreme stuff in it, because in the fantasy games they're usually interacting in a romantic / not romantic kind of rapey way with ogres and monsters and tentacles, whereas a visual novel that's a romance visual novel or a sex visual novel is just humans on humans doing normal human stuff. So this ban, as if that's where the line is drawn, is just no schoolgirl outfits whatsoever. That's eliminating at least 60%, probably 80% of all visual novels, and B, opening the door for a lot worse. Alright, let's see.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on? I should meet you.
If I can get Wind Fury right now, I won. Yep. But the continuing story of Steam and its grappling with adult content that it said it was going to allow and not censor on its service is still going, and I don't know if we've got any real update here as far as this. It seems like we'll just have to wait until some comments or posts have come out. See, next we have a game on Steam that's called FPS Training. Any of these training games are not worth really having. They aren't going to help you at all in being a better first-person shooter player, because every game reacts a little bit differently. These are scams. If you want to get better at playing a game like well, Borderlands or Call of Duty or CSGO or something like that, you've got to play that specific game, not pay $5 to some person who's made just a very generic, simplistic, probably asset flip game. I don't think I'm really getting the spell part of the daily challenge done, but I'm winning, so let's not break a streak.
I should meet you.
Next we have a game on Steam called Below. It says it's an RPG roguelike exploration game. It's already mixed, but I might be willing to put it on the follow list. Below is a solitary journey through the hardline depths of a forbidden isle. Explore, survive, discover. Seems like it's suffering from dark screenshot syndrome. I feel like there's been a couple of games named Below or Below and then something more. It's a really generic game. Yeah, looking at all these screenshots though, I don't think this needs to even make it to the follow list. $22.49. I mean, I could go down here and try and find some reviews that are negative.
Almost out of time.
After 5 years of developing, and it does not work for me. Alright. Need to play.
Why do you go? Chill out.
So it seems like this is probably a Kickstarter game of some sort. Below, and it's from Capybara Games, who also made OK KO Let's Play Heroes. I believe that's a Cartoon Network tie-in game. and Super Time Force Ultra. Doesn't look that interesting. They also made Sword and Sanctuary, and they also made Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. And while I do like Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, the rest of those are pretty unimpressive.
So many possibilities. Chill out.
Let's see. Well, actually, they made a game called Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery Episodes that looks a lot like Salt and Sanctuary. Interesting. They made Critter Crunch. But yeah, Below's already mixed. I guess maybe I'll put it on the follow list just to be extremely, extremely generous, but it really doesn't deserve it.
As you command. Chill out.
Let's see, this game, Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery Ep, looks like it's a point and click adventure game. Let's see, do I really want this? Yeah, I'm gonna be extremely, extremely generous and put this game also on the follow list.
Let me think.
But I feel like I probably have the feeling that there's very few games actually today, so I'm gonna be more generous than I should be, when honestly I should probably try to maintain my same level of let's see, quality for everything. Well, this guy's not moving. So we have a game over here called HYSS that says it's an adventure puzzle platformer, and it seems like you're doing something interesting. You're playing as this like cow-like creature that punches cows or throws cows.
Possibilities.
It looks weird and it looks interesting, so that's enough. It also has a lot of polish to it. $11.99 discounted right now. So yeah, I'll put this on the follow list. We'll see what people have to say about it.
So many possibilities.
I'm gonna do this and do that. Then in return. Next we have a game on Steam called Warp Glider, which looks like it's an asteroids game where you're just flying around. Nothing impressive looking here. Like, I really only need 5 seconds to see a game like this to know it's not something I want to play. Discounted to 74 cents. The sale hasn't come out, so I'm not 100% sure what's potentially going on with the Steam winter sale. I guess it will probably just happen, but
Chill out.
it's weird certainly that nothing has been announced and I haven't seen anything. Gamma Sutra has an article, Call of Duty developers Infinity Ward evacuated after bomb threat. Now, this is certainly serious, but I do have to at a certain point question the logic and the journalistic integrity of reporting on bomb threats and buildings being evacuated because of them, particularly in this case because I believe this was a bomb threat via email demanding like $20,000 in Bitcoin. Like, not something that seemed like a credible thing. I mean, of course, you should act in the abundance of caution and evacuate your building. But this kind of happens, at least back in my day when I was in school. It kind of happened all the time. Like, not, like, at least once a year. Somebody, some joker would call one in and probably get in trouble and get caught from it, but these things don't, I think, benefit anybody by getting really announced as if they're a big deal. This certainly can be a self-sustaining issue too, where a company would want to get good press or feel like they're being persecuted, could certainly do this every day of the week. I think Infinity Ward could easily say, oh, we're scared, we don't feel safe. This is what the SJWs have said in other ways, is that I don't feel safe here because somebody has an opinion that's different than mine. I don't feel safe because I'm not being coddled. I mean, it's the real world. People make accusations, people lie. It's not legal, people get in trouble for it, but it's not also big news either. And yeah, like it's different, I think, a little bit on the CNN issue, because CNN was actually receiving packages of some sort. But even at that, it's been for like half a year where a suspicious powder, which is almost always baby powder, is getting mailed to somebody. So yeah, this is just how it's been, how it's been for a while. But Gamasutra does have this article, or they're just re-reporting what Kotaku has to say. It says, this is literally 4 sentences. The first sentence: Infinity Ward, the Los Angeles-based developer behind multiple Call of Duty games, evacuated employees today following a bomb threat. As reported by Kotaku, law enforcement arrived at the studio this morning, telling employees to evacuate, and the staff were able to leave without issue. This is reportedly tied to many incidences where bomb threats reported across the country yesterday at various locations, with the threats being sent by email and demanding a Bitcoin ransom of $20,000. So apparently, at least now in hindsight, it is 100% obvious that this isn't even particularly targeting a specific company as much as it is targeting lots of companies trying to get money. The NYPD, which is weird because this was a Los Angeles-based developer, but the 4th sentence here is: the NYPD's Counterterrorism Bureau tweeted out that while the email has been sent to numerous locations, searches have been conducted and no devices have been found. And yeah, no duh. Like, so yeah, not really news when you can squeeze it down to 4 sentences. Infinity Ward is, frankly, I think, in less danger than any random streamer is from being slaughtered. And those are, I think, more of a concern. But they get reported on too. I would say there's a lot of people that report on a lot of things just to be sensationalist.
Job's done.
Yep. Clickbait. Moving on, since there's really not a lot to say there. Yeah, if you ever think about doing this, don't. You will get caught. And it won't achieve your goals. Yeah, but I don't think there's anything else to be said. So we have a game on Steam called Aquarium Sandbox. This is an interesting idea, but it doesn't inherently look like it's a simplistic enough game for me. Like, this looks like a lot of sliders and drop down menus to just like, hey, I want an aquarium and I want to see some fish swimming around. And the fish don't look as hyper realistic as you would probably want them to be. And looking at all of this,
I wonder.
like, this feels like that means the fish will probably have to be fed, and you have to adjust temperatures, and you have to do all kinds of things that to run this virtual simulation aquarium, which is not really what I would want in a video game form. I would much prefer it to be a simplistic and easy to figure out experience. Alright, let's hit this. And shield. And then do this. And then do this. And do that. And then end the turn. So yeah, that's not going to the follow list. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Discord store offering developers a 90-10 revenue split. Company also pledges to roll out self-serve publishing option so that, quote, all developers can release games through Discord. Interesting idea, certainly. Now, is all developers include troll developers and developers of adult games and developers of, like, Nazi propaganda games? Because that was the accusation thrown at Discord a few months ago, that Discord was not doing enough to shut down these private Discord servers that were alt-right or whatever they want to call them. Let's see. So that would be interesting. It's also important to note that Discord is also in part owned by Tencent. So this is Tencent in part owns Epic. Epic starts a store. Tencent in part owns Discord. Discord owns a store. Tencent can't publish or launch any games in China because China's censoring and blocking everything. That's interesting. Is there a good reason that makes sense to move over to Discord? I don't think so. That inherently what you run into is an issue here where you could, if you're brand new, if you're getting a new PC this Christmas and this is the first time you've ever been into PC gaming, you could jump onto the Epic Store and hope that that becomes really good and full of games. You could jump onto the Amazon Prime launcher. You could jump on the Discord store. And you could wait, and you could get some exclusives, and you can pay the maximum price because there probably won't be any sales. Like, I think a lot of the ideas here are conveniently forgetting to mention, hey, Steam has some sales. They haven't been as good as they used to be. So maybe this competition will bring back the good old days when you could get 95, 98% discounts on games. But the Steam sales were a thing, and they're still a thing, and Steam still has a ton of selection. So if you want to build up a large collection of older games, you really can't do that with any other launcher. Meanwhile, I think the backlash has started. I think I was probably just a little ahead of the curve on that one when I was not hot and interested about the Epic Store. I think people, now that they've seen that several games are getting somewhat exclusives or timed exclusives on the Epic Store, people who wanted to play those on PC but can't are upset. If I play this, it'll just kill me, so let's do something different. 90% of all the revenue sounds good. The real question, though, is can you build up your storefront on 10% of the revenue? Maybe, maybe not. It feels like a lot of these people are thinking they can just make a WordPress website and that'll be their storefront, and I don't think that will be. And the downside of this is inherently going to be in a couple of years when at least one of these storefronts has to come out and say, oh, ever since launch our database has not been secure, and thus we've leaked all of your private information. We're so sorry, here's a free game. Like, you kind of know that's going to happen. You don't know which one it's going to be, but it's going to be one of them. Yeah, if I can't get ahead, I can't play this card. Let's see. Let's see. There's a quote here on GameIndustry.biz. This article: we will also empower developers to communicate with their players by improving verified servers, extending their ability to add great content to the activity feed, and more. We believe if we iterate and work with developers, we can reverse platform fragmentation in the game industry by connecting developers and players together. You're not reducing fragmentation by creating yet another storefront. That's just backwards doublespeak.
Free me! Free me!
Let's see. I think Valve may come back and offer a better deal again to some of these other people, but I wouldn't be surprised if Valve kind of says, no, we've already made our changes, we're gonna stick with it and just see what happens and ride out this issue. Okay. Let's power that guy up.
Job's done.
Self-serve game publishing platform. If Discord's this article really doesn't talk about it, but if Discord did release a self-service game publishing platform, that still really wouldn't be that interesting to me. I'd still want to spend $100 to have it on Steam instead.
Job's done.
There we go. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article. Twitch sells Curse Media after 2 years. Wiki hosting service Fandom, formerly known as Wikia, announced that it is currently in the process of acquiring Curse Media, which hosts a collection of video gaming websites. Ooh. So that's an interesting question. What are the gaming websites that Curse Media owns?
Who dares summon me? Sure, send the little guy. A paltry task.
Right. So I kind of need stealth. Like, stealth, poisonous. If I do poisonous, I'll kill 2, but I'd kill 2 anyway, so take Divine Shield.
Job's done.
Like, let's see. Twitch purchased Curse back in 2016 for unsolicited. Not only for its network of websites, but for its Curse client and in-game voice chat application, which were relaunched last year as the Twitch desktop app. So I need to search here what Curse Media owns. And the streak is ended, alright. So clearly the next move would be to play Tempo Mage. We made it to rank 18. Let's see. Curse LLC Wikipedia. Current Curse sites and services.
Jaina versus Uther.
Wikipedia asking for money, of course.
With honor.
Let's see, they have Curse Client, Curse Forge, Curse of Voice. Not really heard of this. Bucket Dev. I know Bucket is part of the Minecraft plugins. Alright. Let's change these two. Kerbal Curse Forge. Curse Network. Let's see. Owns Azurland, Diablo Fans, Hearthpawn, HERTHPWN, which I think I may have used that for a brief second. Let's see. MMO Champions, Arena Junkies, Reign of Gaming, LOL Pro, Minecraft Forums, Guild Wars 2 Guru, First Person General. Jeez. If somebody was accessing all of these services and they didn't realize that they were the same website, I could see people being rather annoyed by that. I did not play that quite right. Like, I can do this, and I kind of have to protect myself. It's just hope that I can kill a couple of these guys.
Time runs out on me.
No, that's it. Gamepedia. In 2012, they partnered with YouTube content producer and Athene for a YouTube partnership program called the Union for Gamers, doing a wide series. So they're calling it a union, but really it was a YouTube partnership program type thing. 90% revenue share after, of course, YouTube took its cut. Which, so I mean, even 90% is not actually 90% when you know that. I'm just gonna do that. Curse also produces video in-house for their official YouTube channel. Curse Weekly Roundup, the Minecraft Update, the World of Warcraft Weekly Roundup. Let's see. Curse also provides live coverage of the game industry events, including the Penny Arcade Expo, Gamescom, Minecon, BlizzCon, and EVE Online. There's a League of Legends championship series called Team Curse. Not a lot that they're actually doing. So, having now looked at what Curse actually owned, doesn't seem like Twitch is suffering too much from selling it off. They clearly only wanted the voice chat app and wanted to get rid of everything else.
We have many secrets.
Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Trigger Finger, which says it's an action indie game. Looks like it might be a VR game. Yes, it is. So it's a ugly looking stand in one place shoot guns game for VR. We're seeing a lot of these. There's no reason for that to make it to the follow list. Right. Do that. And do that. Next we have a game on Steam called Super Blackout, which is just the game Blackout. A simplistic one screen, looks like it might be a cell phone port style game. What is that sound? Interesting. The music I heard just sounded really loud. It's not my phone not making any sound. Let me mute myself for a second and just see if I'm hearing something else. Muting myself doesn't even work for that process. No, it seems like they just changed the audio. So yeah, Super Blackout not making it to the follow list. Next we have a game on Steam called Mech Rage, which is a top-down twin-stick shooter. See, like, yeah, this part of the song, it just plays in my headphones really loudly. Yeah, Super Mech Rage, of course, top-down twin-stick shooter, $10 or thereabout. Doesn't look terrible, just, you know, same old style game that I don't really want to play. And victory. Oh shoot, I had 2 cards I could have played there. And see, I had more spells to play, so moving forward. Next we have a game on Steam called Football Director. Of course it's a soccer simulation game. Yeah, I'm not gonna play a game like this in 2019. I probably would never want to play a game like this with just so much menus and such and just no real gameplay mechanic I'm interested in. I will say this one is a little bit more colorful and animated nicely. Some of these have looked really bad. It's discounted for $9.34, but yeah, that's not making it to the follow list either. Let's do spell damage. Might be interesting. Next we have a game on Steam that I assume is called Guijan 3 or Guijan 3. English language not supported. RPG, action RPG. It doesn't look bad, so this might be one of those good Chinese games that occasionally comes out. Simplified Chinese only. But yeah, not in English, so I can't do anything with it. It's a shame. Game of Switcher has the same article. Discord aims to disrupt by opening storefront to devs and offering a 90% revenue share. Like, see, the problem here is if Steam did decide to match the 90% revenue share, Epic Games Store and Discord could fail and go out of business like the next day, and then Steam would have to backpedal, and you can't take away once you've already given. It just never looks good if you do that. So you would be stuck with oh man, I could have killed that guy. So yeah, Steam's I think gonna do the right thing and not go down to a 90% rev share until it starts to see some major competition, which frankly it hasn't seen up until this point. The truth of it is that there's been EA Origin and Uplay already for years, and that really hasn't acted as a competitor to Valve. Right. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Just Roll With It, which looks like it's a simulation kind of asset flippy game. It's, I guess, sort of like Super Monkey Ball, but I'm not super hot on this idea. Like, this really does look like it probably isn't anywhere as fun as you think it would be. I've played several of these rolling a ball somewhere games, and they never seem to have the speed or the polish or the tight controls you would want. $3.49 undiscounted. Yeah, I think I can skip this fairly certainly, and it might be a good game, certainly, but it probably isn't, and it wouldn't be a big loss if it was a good game.
Science over.
Time runs out on you.
Let's do this. Play this,
Starlight.
and then do this.
Job's done.
See, next we have a game on Steam called Welcome Above, which looks like you're flying around, and it kind of looks good. Like, I'm not sure if there's more of a game here or not. Early access, and it requires VR though. So I'll put it on the fall list, and I guess I don't have to make a decision beyond that. Like, I do wonder about this. This might be 5 or 10 minutes worth of entertainment, and then you might just be bored with it. There were at least a couple other games very similar to this that have come out before. Let's see.
Start right.
See, and I don't even feel like I really need to struggle too much here to go through the news. But I do think I probably need to stretch out the episodes into our 20-minute episodes minimum. I've been backsliding a little bit and doing like an hour 5-minute episodes for the first Hearthstone episode, and then the last Hearthstone episode turns out to be a 2.5 hour episodes. So I need to balance it out.
Knowledge is power.
You asked for it.
So I need to go a little bit longer. I'm looking for spells. We have a game on Steam called Double Bubble Blaster Madness VR. It looks like you stand in one place and shoot just bubbles. It does not look good at all. Early access and requires VR, and it's discounted for $4.24. Yep.
Greetings,
Definitely not something
Hello.
that I'd put on the follow list. Let's see. I guess we'll just in there. Next we have a game on Steam called Chocolate Factory, which looks like it's a cookie clicker style game, although it seems like it's not even that good of a cookie clicker style of game. It seems like you're having to go around and click on a lot of different things, which for a cell phone it makes sense, for for a mouse it doesn't make sense. In fact, I was watching one of my old videos at random of me, I think, trying to control a game that you were supposed to be brushing your teeth, or pretending to be brushing your teeth, and the controls either on the controller or the mouse was just so bad I could not do it. So, anyways, the Chocolate Factory is not making it to the follow list. Next secret, Troll secret. Not ready to play that combo. Next we have a game on Steam called Ground Under. It says it's an action-adventure RPG. Looks like it's more of an isometric top-down twin-stick hack and slash. Probably does have some RPG elements. It looks kind of like Diablo. I get it, but not amazingly great animation here. And noticing that columns right in the way. This menu bar seems kind of sparse. The fact that there's nothing else on the screen is a little surprising for this style of game. Like the Diablo 2 interface is pretty well known, and I think it works pretty well. So if you're not making it to that point, let's see, draw a secret, play this, play this in the turn. So yeah, Ground Under is not making it to the list. Gamasutra has an article. League of Legends will no longer support Windows XP and Vista in December 2019. I don't know if even in like the Asian cafes there's too many PCs still running XP and Vista. Yeah, I don't think that's too big of an issue. The bigger story is Activision Blizzard is seemingly giving up development, or they didn't say this, but that is the way it kind of feels. They've reduced development for Heroes of the Storm, and they've moved employees on to other projects. The question is, did they move those employees over to mobile game projects that were allegedly in development? Or did they move them to working on like Diablo 3? I wouldn't be surprised if it was some of the mobile games. Let's see. Can I draw a card and do everything else I want to do? I don't think so.
We have many secrets.
I found it first.
So we'll talk maybe a little bit more about that story as it happens, but as I get to it. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm not being supported. All the professional esports players for Heroes of the Storm have been iced out of any information up until this point, so they're basically being told that there's not going to be any esports events in 2019 hosted by Activision Blizzard, so your entire career is no longer being supported by the developer who made that game. And that's kind of a big deal. This is weird that there's a artistic slightly different rendering here. Let's do this. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Suda51 is working on the outline for No More Heroes 3. I would have thought the outline would have already been done by now. Development depends on the success of Travis Strikes Again. The subtitle here is Suda wants Travis Strikes Again to lead into a third numbered installment. As I understand it, Nintendo is directly funding or in part was funding Travis Strikes Again, so
Job's done.
so yeah, it being a Nintendo Switch exclusive, I guess a lot of people would have to buy it, and then if they do buy it, then maybe No More Heroes 3 would be a Nintendo exclusive, but that doesn't really mean anything to me as a Steam PC video game player. And I feel like a decent number of people who have played yeah, I feel like a decent number of people who've played No More Heroes 1, 2, and 1 and 2 have moved over to PC. So I'm not sure that there's enough market for Travis Strikes Again or No More Heroes unless it comes to PC. Or at the very least, unless it moved over off a Nintendo console to either the Xbox One and the PS4, which maybe then it would get some more audience there. But my own personal experiences, yes, I had a Wii, yes, I played No More Heroes 1, no, I didn't play No More Heroes 2, yes, I moved at some point to an Xbox 360, and now I've moved to PC. So I've personally moved twice in the time that between when No More Heroes 1 came out and now. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Diminutive, which looks like it's a top-down twin-stick shooter type game. Not very graphically appealing, like so many games. Early access, and $3.74 discounted. Yep, I don't think that one would be... Alright, we'll play this. Do this. And do that. So, will that be enough to get all of the daily quests done for the Americas account? Think we're good. Yep, let's now switch over to the European account. And this might be a little silly because we're going to switch over to the European account and then potentially not do anything too much on the European account. Play one game or so and then we'll break up the recording. And I kind of am just burning through video game news. Not a lot came out.
Welcome to the end, friend.
I would be alright, I think, if Steam did decide to just get rid of approving so many games so fast, and if there was just a slowdown of games that got approved and a lot didn't get approved. That's fine if Steam wants to have a curated store. They just kind of need to say that that's what they're going to do. The dishonesty is the problem. you wouldn't want to eat at a restaurant that said all the food was organically grown to then find out that actually it's all factory farmed. Alright, false advertising, you know, deceptive practices, things that should and are illegal. 3 games with the Shaman or Warlock. I guess we'll play the Shaman in this case. Token Shaman, already selected, go. Next we have a game on Steam called Party Poopers, which looks very much like it's some mini games, but not too many, kind of Mario Party style games. Not a lot of them. $3.39 discounted. Nothing here looks intriguing. Alright. Looking for spells to start off with. We want to know if there are any in the Shaman deck or not. May just be Bloodlust. That may be the only card I have. Alright, let's see. This, and then this, and then this. Start with that. Next we have a game on Steam called Econ Elemental Connection, which looks like it's some kind of puzzle game. I feel like I've seen something like this before. So yeah, I'll put it on the follow list and see if I can figure out how you'd actually play it. Yeah, this doesn't look bad. Seems like you just place the tiles and try to match the colors. Not too bad of a looking game. $2.99. I'll put this on the follow list in case I'm looking for another puzzle game, which I almost always am. We have a story here from GameIndustry.biz. Like, Riot reportedly suspends the COO over misconduct at work. Update, Riot offers statement, full internal email confirms suspension. Let's see. So Riot Games, what did they make most recently? I guess that'll be the first question. Well, let's just read the full article. Reports have emerged that Riot Games has suspended one of its senior executives as it cracks down on workplace misconduct. Kotaku reports the CEO, Scott Gelb, has been given 2 months unpaid leave and training following an investigation, although it's not yet clear the full nature of his offense. News of his punishment stems from internal email sent by CEO Niccolo Laurent. The exec said that while the investigation process means such cases are kept private, Riot has chosen to make an exception in Gelb's case. Summon 211 microbots. Let's see. Quote, the special committee of the board of directors has specifically requested that one of Scott's consequences be highly visible, he wrote. Scott holds one of the most senior roles at Riot and is held to a higher level of accountability and visibility, therefore consequences are going to be very visible to rioters. For these reasons, I feel it's necessary to make an exception. Oh yes, I remember Riot Games now. Riot Games was the one that was accused of being misogynist for talking over women. So this is Kotaku. I think Kotaku did the previous article attacking Riot too. I'm not sure if this is really an attack on Riot though, or if this is just the outcome of an attack on Riot, a prolonged and sustained attack. But then again, I am certainly doing a lot of yell journalism to say it's an attack at all. This might be a fully legitimate thing. The problem so far in this story is we don't know what he's done, but we're being told what he's being punished with, his punishment. But did the crime, if there truly was a quote-unquote crime, fit the punishment? Let's see. Kotaku notes that in the ongoing investigation into the studio's culture, Gelb was regularly mentioned for his inappropriate humor that led to incidences of slapping or flicking testicles, farting on employees, or dry humping them. Okay. That sounds like that is a childish, like, bro mentality, if I've ever heard of one. And I can't do anything with this. Let's get rid of this one, and this one, and then play this.
Job's done.
However, in the email, the CEO said many of the numerous rumors circulating about Scott within the company, in the media, and other channels are not true. Additionally, he wrote, there were claims made by Scott engaging in inappropriate and unprofessional behavior, particularly during the early days of Rydo, and some of these claims were, in fact, sustained. The conduct alleged in these claims is not acceptable. And then that gets back to the question of, like, if you make a mistake when you're 18 years old, should it haunt you when you're 25? Let's see. Laurent praised Gelb for choosing ownership and redemption instead of leaving Riot and otherwise avoiding the consequences. He added that he will root for him, support him through the journey, and will leverage him as a great leader when Gelb returns in 2 months' time. So, inherently, you're going to have people saying this is a slap on the wrist. 2 months of unpaid leave is probably not really much of anything to a highly paid CEO, in all honesty. But I'm also uncertain on the timeline here. Like, were these negative actions that some of it does seem inappropriate, definitely inappropriate, but was this stuff that happened 10 years ago, or is this stuff that happened like 2 weeks ago? Wright declined to comment to Otaku on which allegations were untrue. Let's see, elemental, we need an elemental. I don't think we have an elemental, I think the opponent does. Right. Let's do this and do this. Yeah, we've got this next turn. The League of Legends studio has been under fire from allegations, that's what Riot makes, of a toxic workplace culture following an expose by Kotaku. Earlier this year, the company has promised to make changes and quash this, even outlining a plan on how it will accomplish this, and hiring the former Uber executive Francis Frey as part of its efforts. One of the current and former employees and one former employee are actually taking legal actions against Riot Games over discrimination and harassment. Alright. So that was the original article. Let's see, can we do this? Oh, darn it. Elemental. Do we still not have an elemental I can play to? No. Riot Games has offered an official statement on the suspension. Quote, as part of our ongoing commitment to evolve our culture, we have thoroughly investigated all claims through the established process. Per the process, outside legal counsel undertook an investigation of allegations about Scott Gelb. After carefully reviewing and considering the findings, the Special Committee of Riot's Board of Directors determined that a 2-month unpaid leave of absence, along with training, was the appropriate action given the allegations that were substantiated. We can also confirm that many of the rumors circulating about Scott within the company, the media, and other channels were actually not true. Let's see. In addition, the full internal email has been shared with Variety. So, is this really more of a scapegoating thing? Honestly, this one sounds like it's on the up and up, and Riot had been, I think, unfairly misaligned in a lot of times. I think there were problems, certainly, but then I think the problems have been exaggerated and expressed from a unrealistic perspective of what it's like to work in a real job in the real world. Like, I am kind of glad to see this article is inappropriate humor that led to incidences of slapping and flicking testicles, farting on employees, and dry humping them. Those are all physical. Like, that's battery, that's assault stuff. Like, you could be, probably wouldn't be brought up on charges for it, but you could have been, certainly. That's all things provable, physical. What Kotaku's original hit piece was, oh, people didn't want to invite a female employee to standing meetings, and I'm like, what's a standing meeting? That means a group of people, a group of friends are talking to each other, and they weren't having a real meeting. And undoubtedly, when they were having real meetings, it sounded like they were not running the meetings the way you would run a real meeting, because everybody was allowed to speak, and it seemed to be at random topics. And then when the same female employee, it sounded like, tried to share her ideas, nobody listened to her, or they talked over her, they said, which is, yeah, just bad way to manage a meeting. Yeah. I kind of want to see the story. This part of the story is fine. It seems like it's the appropriate action. If anything, it is a victory for a careful, thought-out punishment. Not the usual, he did something wrong, he can never work again idea that so many SJWs want and are pushing for. The idea that the Gelb might have made mistakes, and thus he should never be able to feed himself or have a career at all. It is ridiculous, but that's kind of what gets pushed. But I'm probably just avoiding into conversations and rants I've said before. I am reminded, and I feel almost an obligation to point this out, that Conan O'Brien, there was a documentary I watched about him from a few years ago. And, like, Conan O'Brien punches his employees friendly, jokingly, like, all the time in that documentary. And, like, that too is assault. That's inappropriate. It's not professional at all. But nothing ever came from it. Not one bit. Like, so, like, this stuff does happen. If you're working in a career field, you should not get physical with anybody in any way ever, because even if you are just trying to be friendly and joking, the other person can use it to their own advantage against you very, very easily. Like, say you're both up for a raise, they make an accusation that you punched them. You're like, oh yeah, I was just jokingly punched him in the shoulder, and then the bosses go, okay, well you admitted it, you're fired. Like, you're opening yourself up to a lot of problems if you act unprofessionally in the job. That being said, you also open yourself up to not feeling like you're one of the group if the entire workplace environment is that friendly frat boy environment that it sounds like Riot has been in the past or is. So it's kind of, you kind of also have to feel out the environment, the world. I suppose if you're like a football player or a sports player of some sort, you have to touch your co-workers, but only on the field.
Free me!
Let's see, moving on, TechRaptor has an article, begin humanity again in Zenkai Zero, last beginning next March. Zenkai Zero is coming to Steam.
The light dims.
They don't have a review for it, so this is a hype article. And yeah, we don't really need to hype Zenkai Zero last beginning again. It's like a dungeon crawler RPG, I think. And I'm slightly interested in it. Well, we're approaching a point where some big games might be coming to Steam, or have been scheduled to come to Steam from Japan, and those big games might get delayed or run into problems, which once we start seeing big tier games getting delayed instead of just small visual novel developers getting delayed, like it has been happening in the PlayStation's case, where PlayStation is just straight up censoring and delaying the release of games to have them censored. In fact, PlayStation put out a like how to use the family management option on the PlayStation console, and it got downvoted into oblivion because of just how much people are upset with them for censoring games, to the point where they had to take off the video. Moving on, GameIndustry.biz has an article. The IWGB launches a video game workers union branch. Quote, the games workers' decision to unionize with the IWGB should be a wake-up call for the UK's gaming industry, says the IWGB General Secretaries. So, the thing, as I understand it, this would be the second union in the world to represent video game industries, but the thing I understand about this is a kind of a unionization effort still ongoing to actually have any of the companies in the UK actually agree to become union working shops or union shops in any way. So until one of the video game companies actually says, yes, this is a company that works with the union exists, and it theoretically represents the members of the union, but it's not really representing them in any kind of negotiation. Apparently the first union was the French union Les Syndicats des Travailleurs et Travailleuses des Jeux Vidéo, or the STJV, which was founded in 2017. So yeah, like anybody can make a club and call it a union, but it's not until they have the force and in the UK I think the legal backing to negotiate the contracts of employees and how they're going to be treated, that any actual work is going to happen there. But I mean, it certainly is progress forward, and certainly it's way further than you would have gotten if you tried to do this in the United States. So we've been going about an hour and 30 minutes. Now is a pretty good time, I think, to break this up. We may need to switch over to the Warlock. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.